What's going on, traders? This is Jack with the Trading Tribe. Welcome back to the channel where we're going to go through a current trade that I'm in on with ES and NQ, which are the major US indexes. I'm trading this idea essentially through the futures market. If you want, go watch my last video released on the channel. That's where I break down kind of how I entered these two trades. Today I want to go through how I am managing the trade and planning to add into the trade as well. So here, if we look on my ThinkorSwim platform, right, I'm still in on ES. Then if I move over to NQ, very similarly, I am still in. If we open up Active Trader, you can see that average price is exactly what it was during my first video. If you want to cross-check that, right, this is still that same position. I can show you the date stamp as well for that entry. In this case, we can see NQ is now up $20,000. If we look at ES as well, ES is about $13,000 in the profit as well. So both trades have essentially done exactly what we wanted. If we look back at yesterday, kind of the main idea for my swing trade was really just trading this range. So you can see for the last couple weeks, ES has been just essentially ranging as well as NASDAQ. So they're both kind of doing the same thing, but essentially down here at this lower level, like 18,000-ish, right? We can see NASDAQ has had some really nice bounces. ES, very similar, just different level. So if we flip over to ES, we can see that 51.46 or so has been a really nice double bottom based on the last 2 weeks. And that's really where my idea started. I also really liked, if you're a trendline person, right, you can see if I do a little trendline drawing tool on my chart and I connect these lows from this year, they've all been perfect, basically holds off of a trend line. And so I know some traders like this, some traders don't. I do like trend lines. So this was just kind of another confirmation of, okay, bulls stepped in again this week right where we thought they would, and we're kind of in a range. So, at this point, you can take a very low risk trade, right, for a very nice reward. But right now that the trade is kind of approaching our first potential target, right, we're open to selling these range trades right at the range's ceiling. In my scenario, I will also plan for if this trade does continue. So very open to selling this trade as it approaches this ceiling. Very similar to the last couple pushes, we've had very similar rejections. So up at this 19,250 on the NASDAQ, we can see we've turned around multiple times. So that is an area where I'll have a tight stop and I'll be ready to exit my position. However, right, if it continues going up, you will see I actually have a buy stop to add. And this is typically how I will do it for swing trades. I will basically figure out a spot where I'm comfortable adding to the position, especially if it's a winner that I believe can be a big winner. So in this case, NASDAQ has a ton of potential up, and that's why I'm willing to add on the position. You can also see, based on yesterday, right, my stop started very low and I was trailing it before that video yesterday. Now you can see my stop loss is all the way underneath the lows from the overnight session. So we can see both indexes gapped up last night and then continued trending essentially. So it was really just a gap and go. And so I basically took the lows from last night, and that is where my stop loss is. So just in case this does act like a range again and perform a lot like it did last week, I am going to essentially have protection there where I'm still walking away with a massive winner. So hopefully this helps. This is how I have managed the trade from kind of a stop loss perspective, as well as kind of adding. If this trade kind of surprises us here and busts through the ceiling, I am willing to add to the position, especially now that we are kind of playing with house money, if you will, right? Once you have a winner, you get a lot more flexibility, right? Because your stop loss placement is really just up to you. And then adding is also up to you based on kind of your experience level and where you want to see the chart go. If you have any questions, feel free to leave these down below. Also like and subscribe to the Trading Tribe for a lot more content like this. I'll make a series out of this trade as well, where we'll start with kind of idea generation. This video is more trade management, and then I'll continue on based on the trade's performance. Thanks everyone.